Well, hello, and welcome to ZBrush Live. This is Ara, your host for the next couple of hours, I guess. And let's go ahead and get going. Looks like there's quite a few of you on here. Let's do the sound check and visual check. So if you guys can see the video and can hear my voice, then that's awesome. Just let us know in the chat and we can get going. All right, so YouTube is perfect. That's great. Thank you very much. And also just want to kind of do this real quick. If somebody from Twitch can chime in, I think we're good to go. Facebook is usually a little bit later, but that's fine too. If anybody on Facebook or Twitch wants to chime in, that you can hear the audio and see my screen, that would be awesome. So while you're doing that, like, subscribe, and do all the internet things. Leave comments. And if you have questions, you can ask them during the stream. And if you are watching this after the fact, you can leave the questions in the comments and somebody will hopefully respond back to you. All right, so we've got confirmation that Twitch is good. So, hey, let's go ahead and get going then. All right, so continuing on this journey with this Mech over here, let's go ahead and do some more work on it. Again, work has been really busy. I don't know about your week, but I had a really interesting one. And didn't get a chance to work on this at all. So I don't know if some people like that or if some people wanted me to kind of move further along. But basically, I'm kind of going to continue, excuse me, exactly from where I left off last time. All right, so before I get going, let's see, we got quite a few of you on here. I just want to make sure that some of these nefarious bots aren't there in the user lists, and they're not. Wow, there's quite a few people watching. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, let's get going here. All right, so for those of you that are new to what's going on here, we're basically working on a Mech, which basically was a image that was generated by AI. So I'll go ahead and reload that image for all those of you that have not seen it. I think if you look at the previous streams, you can, but it's always a good idea to load that in. And just kind of give you an idea of what we're doing here. And so this is the image right here, and this image was generated by artificial intelligence. And interestingly enough, it was generated with a kind of an older version of artificial intelligence. Everybody's using Midjourney now, which is pretty awesome, but this was generated with Disco Diffusion. So it was generated by some words and also pointing it to my own artwork. So and then I'm taking this image as inspiration and generating or modeling it into a new model, a new Mech with some new capabilities. So basically, we're gonna match this AI as much as we can, and also be inspired with some of the concepts and stuff on here as much as we can. Right, so this is, I think, episode 9. So we've been going at this for about 18 hours. And I'm liking some of the things. I'm not liking some of the others. So I will be kind of continuing on with it today and seeing how far we can get. Hopefully we can get done with all the secondary shapes today, and then maybe even start getting into some tertiary shapes. And I did get a nice new kit bash kit. I might use some of those parts. So we are going to have a bit of fun getting this to be what we want it to be. All right, let's do that so it doesn't take up the whole screen, and let's get going here. All right, so I'm just basically creating some sort of a border for this. And what I'm going to do here is just, for this to kind of work where we are, I want it to look like it is, right now just kind of, there's this transition here that I'm not very happy with, so I need to create a better transition. So let me just go to the move brush here with AccuCurve and start positioning this in such a way where I can create some sort of a border and something that's basically holding this cloth piece together. And I'm using symmetry, which works out well. Yeah. So how is the weather where you are? It's pretty hot over here in LA. We're experiencing some super heat waves across the US and parts of Europe. So let me know if you guys are stuck in the middle of all that. All right, so that looks good for the most part. Let's go ahead and start popping in that border piece. All right, so I'm just going to solo this. Actually, before I even do that, I'm going to start masking these areas. And that's what's going to be generating the transitional piece between these. We have a very quiet crowd today. All right, let me just go back here and fill in this area. So we have a pretty organic piece here that we're working with. This is some sort of material that goes over the area, but something is holding this in, and that's what we're going to try and make now. So I'm just going to mask this, and then I'm going to sharpen the mask. So I can get some sort of definition of a shape. I'm going to grow it a little bit, sharpen it again, and blur it, sharpen it until I get some sort of a shape that I like. I think that's good enough. Let's bring everything back. I think it's a little bit too much up over in here. So let's get that cleared. Like so. And like so. All right, so that's pretty good. And then I'm just going to use this plugin that I purchased called Extract Pro. I think there's a free version of it as well. And basically it just does exactly what Extract does, but also does some other things to it that basically speeds up my workflow. So let's see what kind of topology this generated. Not bad, but we want this to have less topology. And let me turn double on here, and let's zero mesh this down a little bit so we get less geometry. So I'm just going to zero mesh this at half, and let's bring the rest of the everything back up so we can see what it's doing. And for good measure here, I'm also going to dynamically subdivide this just to add a tiny bit of thickness to it, maybe about there, something like that. Okay, that's good. And then let's bring it down in geometry a little bit further, just to get some hard surface shapes. Maybe hit it one more time. And that's looking okay. I think that's looking okay. All right, let me solo this out. And delete some edge loops here. All right, I just kind of want to get that straight edge. And I might need to inflate this a little bit more. Let me see what it's looking like. That's good. Maybe keep going down this way. Right, that's good. This part is okay. And I think this part here is good. So I'm going to ZBrush this one more time. And I think that's a little bit too little. Poly count wise, I'm going to go for same. I think that's good. Let's go to solo here. And now that I've got this piece, I can just kind of position it a little bit better with my move brush. Like so. All right, still very quiet. We are how many minutes in? We are about 13 minutes in, and nobody said anything except that they can hear me. All right. What's been going on with everybody? Nobody wants to say anything. Interesting things happen at work, school, life. Otherwise, this is going to be a monologue. All right. Hey, Matthew. Thanks for lurking, man. Good to be for you to come back. Appreciate it. The heat and work. Is it humid where you are, or is it just hot? I was in New York this Monday, and it was hot and it was humid. At least in LA, it's not as humid, although it's just as hot. Hey, Leon, how's it going, man? Oh man, Texas, yeah. Is it humid in Texas? I think it is, right? Yep. All right, so the transition, this thing here with the cloth is working now. It's working just fine. Now what I got to do is figure out how to make this work with this metallic part over here. Right, so how is this emanating from this piece? So I think what I'm going to do for that is make a whole area for it. So here I'm just kind of moving the vertices over. All right. All right. Nice. All right, so it's inland is pretty humid, but you're saying it's not where you are. Awesome. Yeah, humidity adds a whole level of complexity to heat. It's just, you know, I was walking around in New York and I was drenched. My shirt was just drenched. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to delete some polygons. Let's see, these guys over here. All right. So, all right. First question of the day: why do you use the move brush instead of move topology? Okay. I use the move brush because I I don't even know what move topology does. Let's see here. Move topology is that here. Move. To use my mouse. Move topology. Oh, this one. Move topology. It's not new topology. It's move topological. Okay. So the difference is as follows. So when you are moving something, right? And I think the best way to do this is if I have a duplicate of this. Let me do it. Right. So when I am in the move brush mode, right? So this is just a duplicate of this part. And this would be great to demonstrate what I'm talking about. So when I'm using the move brush, and I'm going to choose a bigger size brush here so you can see, when I'm just using the move brush just on its own, right? I'm basically moving everything that's in the brush radius. So you see the top parts and the bottom parts are moving, right? So it just depends on the brush radius. So whatever falls within that brush radius is going to move, right? So the top part and the bottom part are moving. But if you use move topological, and basically move topological is the move brush, right? It's exactly the same thing as the move brush. However, it's got one thing turned on, which I think it's under masking. I don't remember. Well, let me see here. I can find out. It is under masking. So in the brush menu under auto masking, no, not auto masking, but where are you? It's this button right here, which is brush auto masking. Yeah, it is under auto masking. Okay, so brush menu, or it's render menu. That's why it's not showing up. Brush menu and auto masking, right? In auto masking over here, where are you? There you are. There's this button here called topological. If you press this button, basically I've just changed my brush to brush topological. And what that will do, so if I turn that on, or choose the move topological brush, right? What will happen is, regardless of how big my brush is, I can choose a brush that's this big. Whatever part I'm on, that's the only one that's going to move, okay? So whatever, the contiguous mesh is that I'm clicking on, that's what I'm going to be moving, and not this one. And topological works with everything, so that's why I don't use move topological at all. And what I do is I just have this button up here that I click on, and so when I click on this button, then it will basically only focus whatever I'm doing in that one area that the brush clicks on, everything that's contiguous to that, and not other pieces, even though they fit in the same brush radius area. So hopefully that answers that question for you. Sir Dominator, I guess is your name. Yeah. Hey Pedro, hello. Let's see. It's gonna get. All right. Just going to delete these polys, go to here. So you see what I'm kind of creating here is just kind of this area where this is going to kind of show through. So I'm basically just punching a hole for it to fit in these parts. This one's a little bit funky, but no problem. So let's see how this is looking. All right, it's looking great over here, and it's looking decent over here. But I'm having a little bit of interesting stuff going on in this area. So no worries, I can fix that as well, just by moving maybe this point over this way a little bit. Right, so it's kind of creating this weird kind of jagged edge here, but maybe I can work with that. Let's see, can I? Is there any reason why I should have that the way it is? There isn't, but I can probably figure out, yeah, what I'll do here is, this is kind of a really nifty tool as well, which is using the edge extract, or extrude, sorry, not extract, but I'm just going to extract this edge and create this over here, and just move this in further. Kind of don't want this point over here, so I'm just going to delete it. Oh, it's okay. Here we go. And I don't want this one either. It's okay if I'm getting a triangle. I don't care really. And yeah, let's see what that does with everything back. And that's pretty good. I think that'll do it. Okay, so now I've got this piece doing that transition between the two. And it's got like this little area where it's going in. So that's kind of giving me more of a believable transition between the cloth part and this other part that's out this way, right? And what I'm going to do here is just for kicks, just see if retopology would give me something better. And it does. How about that? Yeah, this is good. Now some of these edges I don't need, so I'm just going to delete them. And no, Q1, I don't need that. Edge loop, delete. So it just kind of gives me a straighter edge over here. Looks more hard surfacey. That's good. That's good. All right. Okay, I think this is looking pretty decent. All right, let's see. All right, sure. Hello, thank you, Rin, I guess, or RHNYN. I think there should be an AI program that tells me how to pronounce all these names, because everybody has really interesting names, but sometimes I'm too slow to figure out what they say. There's a pen tablet screen, and what model do you like? Okay, yeah, I use, personally, I prefer using a tablet, and I use the Wacom Intuos Pro Medium, and that's the one I like. That's the one I have used forever, and I like it a lot. There's quite a few new tablets. You guys are lucky, because in my day, there was only Wacom, and there were a few others, but they didn't work really well. But I think now there's quite a few out there, and so I'm pretty happy with my Intuos Medium. But if something happens to it, I've had this thing for a long time, and it continues to work great. It's been one of the best investments I've made. But, you know, I think Michael Pavlovich reviewed a Sense Labs tablet, which is kind of the new kids on the block, I guess. And he seemed to like it. And so that's one other option that's kind of good. I think a lot of people that used to work at Wacom have gone over to that company. So you have a lot of options. And then there's other ones too. The only thing I'd say with tablets is that, you know, don't get a super cheap one just because the most important thing is that they are durable. Make sure you get a pen that's really comfortable. I use the 3D pen from Wacom. And also make sure that the software, the drivers are good. Make sure the company is going to be around for a while, because the last thing you want to do is get a tablet and then have the company go away or whatever, or not update their drivers, and then there's a new version of Windows or a new version of ZBrush or a new version of whatever, and it doesn't work with it, and then you're stuck. So yeah, I think if you go with a Wacom or you go with with one of these other companies, I think you should be okay. Do your research. I don't think you can go wrong with Wacom. They've been around for a long time and they do good work. And also, if you don't like working with a tablet, meaning you can't disassociate between, you know, having something underneath and then having the screen in front of you, So you're looking at the screen, but you're working down here. And some people I know can't do that. They have issues with kind of that association. So those folks like to work with a Cintiq or something that is screen based. And I like those as well. They're great. Of course, they're more expensive and all that. But you know, I find it more comfortable working with a tablet. But that's just me. Right? So you have a lot of different choices. Now, what I don't recommend you do is, and I know some people do that, which I think is heroic almost, is don't use a mouse to sculpt. It's kind of, you know, counterproductive. You definitely need a tablet, and if you use a mouse, you're gonna get carpal tunnel syndrome or something, because really, I mean, we've been using this kind of gesture for writing for ages, and it works, right? So it's a good idea to kind of do the same thing with using a tablet and a pen versus using a mouse to sculpt. So definitely, you're really brave if you are just sculpting with a with a mouse. Yep. All right, so dynamic subdiv. I'm not applying the dynamic subdivision just yet. I'm trying to get this to be as kind of hard surfacey as possible. This is probably like some piece of metal. So I'm going to straighten this out as much as I can before I accept the dynamic subdiv and the thickness that it has. I'm going to hide this arm here. The middle arm. Just because it's kind of in the way. That one and that one and that one. Oh no. Do I have these? I do. That's fine. I guess I just work around it. All right. I have an Intuos Medium 2015 model, and it's also, yeah. I've had this, like, I think 2015, even before then. I've had it forever. Yeah, I've heard of the Huon Canvas 16 display, and I rather enjoy display for ZBrush. Okay, great. So Matthew has a Huon, the display one, and he likes it, so that's great. Yeah, I mean, some people, you know, some people swear by the display models. Like, you know, the people that like Cintiq type models and whatnot really like them. So I totally get it. And yeah. I just feel like if I'm on the road or I am at a client's location or whatnot, which I'm not, I kind of am working full time now, so I'm not doing any freelance work. But when I used to do freelance work, it was a lot easier to carry a tablet around than it is to carry a Cintiq around. But I ended up for that getting a one of their Mobile Pro machines. And the Mobile Pro machines are basically a tablet, a display tablet, and a computer all in one. And that thing is nice for kind of doing traveling work. All right, I'm going to divide this one more time. And one more. All right, that's good. And I am going to accept the subdivision or the dynamic subdivision. So there it is. I've got thickness now, and I've got this hard surface piece that I basically pulled off of that organic kind of edge. All right, so that's working. And then let's see, I probably need to do the same thing over at this end. So let's do that. All right, so I mean, it's great that everybody has different things that they use and their different experiences. I wish there was a way you could kind of try before you buy, so to speak, so you can you know, kind of get an idea of how it works. I don't know if anybody rents these things. That would be a good idea. But it's always based on what you're comfortable with. You should never listen to anybody who gives you absolute kind of like, no, it's definitely definitely use this kind of thing, because I've found more times than others that people have different preferences and different work styles, and whatever makes you comfortable is the work style you should be using. All right. Big surface. Let me see if I can hide this top part. Maybe that'll help if I see through it. Yeah, especially in this industry, there's a lot of people that are know-it-alls. And unfortunately, you know, or there's definitely personal preference that is a big deal. I think I kind of like it going all the way to here. All right, so that's, I think, a good amount. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. Go to the masking menu and blur the mask and sharpen it. Blur it again and sharpen it. And the reason why I'm doing that is just to kind of get some kind of more defined edges. And also blurring kind of creates more of a smooth transition between the edges. So I think that looks good enough for now. Let's go ahead and do the Extract Pro Plus. Extract Pro Plus Ultimate. Okay, there it is. There's the part generated for me. And let's go ahead and bring everybody back. Yeah, I like this thing because it just basically does 4 or 5 steps for me in one shot. And it's pretty helpful. So definitely worth how much money I paid for it, which was not really that much. Okay, so let me solo this thing out. There it is. Turn double on so I can see the inside. Do the dynamic subdiv. No subdivisions, but thickness, yes. Maybe about that much. And for this one, oh, that's way too much. Thickness right there. Maybe about there. There we go. Now let's see what that looks like. That looks good, and I might not need to do too much work on this one. So first I'm going to zero mesh it to a lower subdivision level just to get less geometry to mess around with. Let's turn polyframe on to see what's going on. And I'm just basically reducing geometry here. All right, one more time. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Matthew, that you basically have it kind of in front of you and you're working this way. That's a good way to do it too. It's funny, I usually get Imagine Effects magazine every now and again. What's nice about it is that it has sometimes pictures. What is going on over here? There's some funky stuff going on over here. Let's see if we can figure out what it is. Is there a hole? Yep, there is. All right. No problem. Turn dynamic off so we can see what's going on. Some weird janky geometry action. I'm just going to close this hole, see if that does it. Nope. All right, so another way to do this is I'm just going to delete this poly and delete that one too, and this one, that, and then just use extrude to fix what was there. So saying that in Imagine Effects magazine, it has pictures of artists' workspaces. And it's always interesting to see. And it's usually kind of more painting oriented, the magazine is. So 2D oriented versus 3D. even though I've got an article in there in which I'm using ZBrush to create a kind of an area where you can do paint overs on. I want to move the point, not delete it. In which I did a ZBrush model kind of scene, and then gave it over to a co-teacher of mine. At the time I was teaching at Art Center, and so so my co-teacher Scott kind of took it and painted over it, and yeah, it was pretty interesting. I don't remember which article it was, but if you go to my Instagram, I think I've got a link to it. And I do have some really cool brushes that I shared, IMM brushes that are brushes of mechs and buildings. And so, yeah. Why is this not sticking to this one? Come on, guys. Non-symmetrical part. Let's just do mirror and weld. Now it's symmetrical. But yeah, I really enjoy looking at like artist spaces and how they have things set up. And some of them actually have the same thing you do. And even if you get a Cintiq, like there's a stand that kind of builds it up, or you can get like an arm that kind of brings it up like this. And it's definitely better to work on it that way. I don't know if your arm gets tired or whatever. Another thing also I've noticed a lot of Cintiq artists have is they've got this glove that basically covers up these two fingers, so your hand doesn't kind of A, smudge up your screen, and then B, you know, it moves smoother on the surface of what you're drawing. So again, it's all in the eye of the beholder, I guess. All right, let's turn dynamic back on. But definitely use some sort of, you know, tablet, whether it's a display tablet or a physical tablet. And you know, they are pretty inexpensive. You can get some really inexpensive ones. I mean, the Wacom one is the one that I have, the Intuos Pro. I mean, it's basically paid for itself many times over, but it's not that expensive. And Intuos will run you into $1,000. I think you can even get one for around $700-800 now. I don't know. I haven't looked for a while. And bigger displays can cost you more. So it all depends of what you're comfortable with. But definitely you know, weigh your options, and definitely if you get a chance, try it out before you drop the money. I know a lot of people that have bought the Cintiq thinking that they're going to be better at their work, and it doesn't really matter. And they've maybe discovered that that's not the thing that's going to make the difference. All right. No other comments. So that was the tablet discussion. Right, so this piece is coming along nicely. Right now, I don't like it. It kind of is taking over. Okay, let's let this save. Good time to take a bit of a tea break. Hey, Billy. Yep, if you're new to ZBrush, all I can say is enjoy being new to it. It's a long journey, but it's a good one, and you'll get better. Just keep at it. I've taught a lot of students all over the spectrum. Some people have been completely new to ZBrush. Some people have had maybe 1 or 2 courses, and it's tragic because a lot of the courses that are taught in ZBrush are not very good. And I say that, you know, because I get the students that come from those courses, and like kind of a big warning to me is like if the teacher tells them this is the UI that I'm going to give you, this is the UI you should use because the UI in ZBrush is bad. And so that immediately right there is kind of a warning sign to me that these students are going to struggle. Another thing that I also notice is that most of the teachers that teach ZBrush basically tell their students, well, ZBrush is really good for it's really good for organic sculpting, and it's not good for hard surface or anything else. So it's good for doing organic stuff, and that's not true either. So there are definitely some warning signs, and I usually ask the students that I get as to kind of what their learning process is, and a lot of times I have to, do the Yoda thing and have them unlearn what they have learned. The good news now is I'm teaching at Gnomon, and Gnomon has some of the best teachers and some of the best students, so I don't have to deal with that problem at all. The students I get know what's going on, and I teach a pretty advanced course there, so I really enjoy it. But that's not to say that there aren't good teachers out there. There definitely are. But a lot of times these teachers are working in the industry, and they're a few years behind. And again, it also depends on what you want to use ZBrush for. I mean, if you do want to do organic stuff, then maybe that's the perfect course for you, right? All right. Flip normals. I don't know about flip normals. There's so many. Oh my God. That's the other funny thing. There's just so many schools and so many training places now. It's unbelievable. Like when I was kind of getting into this, there was Gnomon, which was kind of, they had VHS tapes. I mean, can you imagine like a VHS tape? So you basically had to have a TV and a VHS thing and rewind, and that's kind of how, the first classes were. And then they went to DVDs. I actually didn't buy any of their VHS tapes. I kind of came in right when they started having DVDs. And I've got a bunch of them. I've got a bunch of those DVDs still. And so you basically bought the DVD, and that was kind of useful because you could play that on your computer, so you can just kind of have it in a little window. So there were all these companies. There was what is it, Digital Tutors or something like that, or something Tutors. I forget what they're called. They had it like an orange logo. I think it was Digital Tutors. And they kind of had their stuff, and I think they've kind of become somebody else, and then I think there's another company now. The school that I teach is Gnomon. It sounds like Newman, but it's spelled like this. It's here in Hollywood. It's like right under the Hollywood sign. Not right directly underneath, but you can see the Hollywood sign from there. And it's a great school. It's like the MIT or Hogwarts of this industry. I like teaching there a lot. It's probably my favorite place to teach. But I've taught at Art Center, which was also really great. And I taught at Otis College of Art and Design, which is near LAX. And their program at the time wasn't that good, but I think now they're kind of revamping it. The person running the show there, I think, was kind of a little bit not with the times, sad to say. But, I can totally understand why, because it's hard to make big changes in schools like that. And sometimes people just don't want to rock the boat. But now there's like so many different places that you can learn from. There's I don't know. There's something Udemy, I guess. There's Udemy. There's all these master classes you can take in places. There's Trojan Horse Was a Unicorn. I mean, I don't know if they sell their tutorials, but they have a yearly thing that you can go to, which I'm hoping one day maybe they'll invite me. There's who else is there? There are all these things that happen in Europe that are kind of interesting, and now that the pandemic is kind of on its way out, maybe they'll start up again. And there's conventions too that are really good for learning stuff. The one that I really like is Lightbox Expo. I think that's coming up soon. And kind of wanted to have a table there, but I don't think I'm going to be ready this time around. But maybe next year I'll have some merch and stuff to sell, some prints. Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah. The ZBrush courses aren't good. Yeah, that's a thing too. Like, and then there's like the weird wild west of YouTube, where it's just like sometimes you get. I mean, the Pixelogic stuff's always good. So if you go to the Pixelogic channel, let me show that to you guys. So on YouTube here. Well, they're not called Pixelogic anymore. They're called. I guess the website is still Pixelogic ZBrush. But their website, if you just search Pixelogic ZBrush on YouTube, this is where their videos are. So all these videos, even this one, will go up there. So right now it's showing that I'm live. So all these videos will go there. All these are really good. All these streamers are handpicked. They're all amazing people in what they do. There's Ask ZBrush, which is very helpful. There's a lot of really cool stuff on here. So that's a good place to learn. Pablo Munoz Gomez has ZBrush guides, and let me go there too. Right, so ZBrush guides is hello. Right, this is right here. This is great tutorials for ZBrush. Pablo's great. He's got a really good way of explaining stuff. Michael Pavlovich is really good. He's got a good way of explaining stuff as well. So if you stumble onto those things on YouTube, you're good. But there's a lot of people that are just like, I'm going to make a video on this, and they don't know what they're talking about, or it's kind of confusing. But what I'm kind of noticing that's kind of a new trend is TikTok. So there are these like short videos on TikTok on like here's a tip, here's a ZBrush tip, and so people are learning, doing short attention span learning on TikTok, and I mean, to each their own. It works. And yeah, so what a journey from VHS to TikTok. But I think there's something to be said about still going into a classroom with students and working on assignments and getting kind of measured sort of, and getting like some sort of a grade or getting some sort of critique that's live. Being able to ask questions, I think that's kind of really valuable. But the benefit of, and I don't want to say that that's an absolute, because the benefit of, here, I'm just going to apply this subdivision level, delete lower, and zero mesh this again, so I kind of get stuff around this topology to work for me. The good thing about YouTube is that you can rewind, which is super, super useful. Another thing that's really useful about YouTube is you can speed it up. So if somebody's talking slowly, like if you're watching this and you're kind of bored and I'm taking too long, you can watch it on YouTube and speed it up. And that's kind of helpful. So I guess each one of these systems has their own benefits. All right, so now I've got a little bit of a transition going on between this cloth part and these hard surface parts. And I'm still going to see, I think this is still pretty low geometry, isn't it? Yeah, it is. I might start adding some secondary details to this just to kind of transition that piece better. All right. Oh yeah, Paul Gabry is always great. I've learned so much from Paul. Interesting fact is I had lunch with him yesterday. Was it yesterday? Thursday? Yep. Yeah, yesterday. Paul is amazing. He really, I don't think there's anybody that knows ZBrush as well as Paul does. He is definitely the dude. All right, so I'm just going to apply the dynamic subdiv to this thing, and I am going to divide it maybe a couple of times so I can sculpt on it. Yeah, Paul's great. Pavlovich is good. Pablo's good. Eric Keller is good. Eric Keller usually does, I think he did one last night, but he's also a ZBrush teacher, so he's really good at explaining what's going on. He's written a few books on ZBrush, so he's a good teacher and a good friend. There's a lot of really good people around if you want to learn from them. All right, I think that's looking good. I like that little bit of transition I created over here, so this looks like more of a natural kind of connection. And I'll probably put some kit bash parts to just kind of make these look more connected. And then let me do one here as well. All right, so we're starting to get into a little bit more into the secondary details on the Mech. And it's starting to come together really nicely. I have to figure out what's going on with this gap over here as well. All right, I think I'm good with this cloth part. I think that's good. Now I'm going to do something with this cloth part, which is add some sort of a texture to it. So let's see what the topology is like first. Okay, it's good. Let's ZBrush it. And let's bump up the, well, let's try adaptive. Let's see what that does. I just don't want to get rid of some of this detail. It's pretty neat. That got rid of it. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is choose double and ZBrush it. And that should give us something more decent. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we will get all quads, and yeah, that's good enough. And what I want to do is put a micro poly on this. So here I'm just going to go to dynamic subdiv again, not Dynamesh, dynamic subdiv, and turn it on. No smoothing. However, I want micro poly on. And let's see what this looks like. Turn polyframe off. That's okay. Let's see if I can find something that would work a little bit better. Maybe this one. Yep, here we go. That does it right there. And let me, while I'm at it, just add a little bit of a cloth color to this. Maybe something like that. Maybe a little bit darker. Less saturated. Like that. And maybe here. By the way, one thing I should mention is that the color, this color thing is okay, but there's a plugin for ZBrush called ZColor, which is definitely the way to go to do color in ZBrush. Because here you can definitely do more fine tuning for your colors. So here I'm just going to go to orange, and I'm going to go to less saturated. And then there are the HSV and RGB sliders that you can use. So here, if I want this to be less saturated, I can just drop the saturation down. And then what I could do here is just say, set this to that color. And this is exactly the color I want. Maybe a little bit lighter, see here. So I can just basically start bringing the value down, get color. And so this is kind of a better way to kind of get the colors that you want in ZBrush. And the ZColor plugin is just really awesome. And I think a couple of, let's fill that object with that color. And I think a couple of ZBrush summits ago, I met the guy who made it. So kudos to that. All right, so now I've got something that looks more like this, and it's pretty cool. I might camo it up later. But this, I would consider this piece pretty much done. I might add a little bit of detail to it, but I think it's good. And then let's look at the rest of the model here. Okay, Matthew, great that you were on here. Good night, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. All right. And of course, you can watch the rest of this later on as well. All right, so that's done. I think this piece is done. So I'm going to start kind of adding a little bit of color to some of these pieces, just so I get an idea of what they are. So with this one right here, let's say these are going to be maybe darker color. And here I'm just basically using grayscale. By the way, this slider over here, people ask me about it all the time. This is just basically in the color menu. So the color menu, it's just this thing. I've popped it onto my UI. So here I'm just going to choose a darker color, maybe about that kind of gray for that. And let me make sure I'm on the right tool. I am. So I'm just going to fill object. So right now I'm just basically getting an idea of what the colors are going to look like. And then I'm going to go to this guy over here, fill object with that color as well. And then let's just chop this up. So now I basically have that kind of part of the leg pretty much colored and ready to go. And then we'll just kind of start working on the rest of the piece. Akira, did I have a concept? Yes. So I'll just go through this again because I think it's a cool idea to do it. So basically what I do is, here's my website. If you guys haven't seen my work, so it's Kermaco, Kermaco.com. It's a great place to see all of my work. I updated it lately, so it's got a lot of my more recent stuff as well. And so probably what happened is I've got this mech right here, and I'll kind of show it to you. So you can kind of see this mech looks a little bit like what I've been working on. So I've got some different images of it. So what I did was I pointed AI to this mech. And the AI I pointed to it was Disco Diffusion at the time. And Disco Diffusion generated this image right here. And so this is kind of the main concept I'm going off of. So this AI generated this image based on my previous work, and then I'm just taking whatever this generated and just basically making it into 3D again. So it's kind of like regurgitating my work with AI's influence. So yeah. Yeah, you guys should check out my website if you haven't seen it. There's a lot of really cool stuff there. It's basically my ArtStation page, but I have a website from it as well. So I've got a bunch of mechs on here that you can see. I've got 4 so far. I've got 2 other mechs that I've not rendered and put in here. I will soon, but I also do character design. So here are some of the characters. I do vehicle design and also creature design. And don't just look at the top image, like for example here I just have one vehicle, but I've got a lot of renders of it, so you can kind of see different views of that same vehicle. And I don't know why I haven't put the new one. I actually did a whole new vehicle as a episodic stream here, and I don't know why I haven't put it on here yet, but I will. Again, this is new, so I'll be adding more stuff to it. And you can also go to my blog. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but my blog has a lot of images. So here are some images I generated from AI a while back. So this is basically where we went to find the image that we just saw. And I could take any of this or take any parts of this as inspiration to create future works. And then I've got some stuff I did with fractals. So I'm going to start populating my blog more as time goes on, but now that I've ported it to this new server, I can do all that work. So yeah, keep in touch with me here. And by the way, this at the bottom has my socials, and I post mostly to Instagram, and my Instagram has a lot of new stuff. Follow me on here. I've got quite a few followers, but I'll probably have more. Looks like some new people have liked my work. Okay. And here's an example of AI work, right? So this was generated by Midjourney, well, as like maybe 4 or 5 different images, and I basically photo bashed them into this image. So yeah, and this is Midjourney as well. I've posted a lot of AI work, but I also post some ZBrush work. So here's kind of some organic stuff I did a while back. So yeah, you guys check it out, Kermaco.com. If you just go to Kermaco.com and you go to the bottom here, it's got a link to all my socials. And you can check me out there. And also, if you want to get a hold of me for any reason, I've got a contact link in there as well. All right, so this piece right here, I think I'm going to also color it the same color that I have this one. So fill object. Oops. Right, so now I'm kind of getting a little bit more of the color scheme of what this is going to look like. And that's good. And I'm wondering at this point whether this top part should be that color too. Let's see what it would look like. I think I already have a color on it already, but let's go over to it and do a fill object and see if that works. it kind of does. Again, I have to create a bit of a transition between it and this part right here. So let's do that. Damien standard. This is kind of a thing that I struggle with sometimes because when you look at cars and you look at different kind of hard surface machines and whatnot, you have to see kind of how they connect the parts together. Like you have to imagine, is this connected with screws? Is it snap in somewhere? How, you know, like nothing just has this kind of line as this over here. So there's usually some indentation or something. Let me divide this one more time. All right. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing great. Halfway through. Billy, you can. A good place to share your work, by the way, to get feedback. And there's Tomas that does it on live. And I don't know what night he does it, so I think he does a session where he does crits. So that's always kind of a good thing to do. But also, what I recommend you do is go to ZBrush Central and post your work there. It's a great community of artists. Right here, and this is basically where everybody posts their ZBrush work. And it's a really great website, so you can see some of the great work people are doing. And wow, look at this. Somebody did a cool mech here. So you can see some of the work that they're doing, and you can always post your stuff and people comment. I'm going to see if I can find something that's like, let's say, you know, let's pick this thing right here, right? So this person posted this. I guess, yeah, so here you go. This person's saying, really cool, nice job. I mean, this is pretty cool here. So people comment on this, and you can also ask for feedback. I think this seems like more of a new person. Let's see if they have any comments. No. Yeah, but it used to be a lot more active, I should say. But you can post it here. You can always post it on ArtStation. That's a good place. And you can ask people. You can say, you know, I'd like feedback. But of course, nothing beats being at a school and having a class full of really great students give you feedback as well. I mean, I do a little bit of that at Nomen, but my course there is pretty intense. So we don't get as much time to do crits as I'd like, especially if it's a bigger class. But recently they've been pretty small. But at Art Center, I mean, it was very crit heavy. And it was great because a lot of the students that I taught there had super, super good feedback. But yeah, that's definitely an advantage, is if you take a class somewhere. I think one of the biggest advantages is that live crit. And yeah, so don't be shy about posting your work. And also be ready to, you know, take some arrows. Because the last thing you want is people just saying, oh yeah, this is great, when it's not. And believe me, there's a lot of people that I know that I've taught that basically were not ready to take criticism. So you just have to wait until they are. They either are or they stop doing it. That's one of the two things I've noticed that happens. They either at some point determine that, okay, wait a minute, I am going to actually have to listen to what these people are saying and change my work. And or they're going to be like, I'm not good. I'm not going to do this anymore. And that's it. Gremlin, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I've been doing it for quite a while. And it's been an adventure. I'm nowhere near done. I'll be doing this. I think I will probably be on my deathbed with a Wacom pen in my hand. That's why I really enjoy doing these streams. Like, it's a highlight of my my week, because it's not work, right? I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm just doing this for fun. So I get to hang out with all of you fine people and get to do what I really enjoy doing. All right. And by the way, it took a long time for people to appreciate my work. I should mention that too. Like, a very long time. Like, I remember when I used to first do stuff, I was like, okay, well, the stuff looks good. And like some, big people in the industry or some major people have told me it's good. But people didn't really recognize it. It takes a long time for people to kind of see your work. And of course, you get better over time too. So don't expect people to don't expect to be a superstar right off the bat. Some people are. Some people get lucky. I don't know. But yeah. So I was talking with Paul yesterday about possibly getting back into 3D printing. I kind of started to at some point, but then I got discouraged because I got this printer that the resin kind of smelled really bad. I don't have an outside garage or anything like that. So I was like, I don't want to be like breathing in these toxic fumes just because I want to print something out. So then I basically thought, okay, well, if I want to print something out, maybe I'll send it to Shapeways or something like that. And kind of got dissuaded from the whole 3D printing thing. But now I think there's some water soluble resins and things that don't seem as toxic as they were before. So I might be jumping back in, because it's kind of cool to just have a 3D printer at home, and then just kind of print something out and then have it in your hand. So like, it'd be really cool if I could 3D print this Mech and hang it from somewhere in my office, or even make it available for people to get if they want to. But 3D printing is its own kind of rabbit hole. Yeah, no, I know, yeah. Yeah, I thought of getting a cover, but like I don't really have that much room. And I'm actually probably going to move into an even smaller space. So so room is kind of an issue. Like, if I lived somewhere far away from the city in LA, then I would definitely get a bigger place and have a room just for 3D printing, like maybe a garage or something like that, and then just connect to it and send the print job, and then just kind of go see if it's done. That's the ideal way of doing it, but I live in small apartments, so usually it's going to be like my bedroom as well, and I don't really want to be, going to sleep with that kind of fume action happening. Yeah, I think some of the newer printers have filters now. Yep, definitely the case. They're getting better, That's why I'm kind of thinking of jumping back in, is I think because a lot of the bugs are kind of being worked out, like they're in 3rd or 4th generation now. So yeah. Yep, time to get back into the game. It'd be interesting to see if at some point 3D printers become like as ubiquitous as regular printers, right? Like if everybody just is going to have one at home. It makes sense. Like if you want parts for something, you know, you've got like you need a part for your sink, or you need something like for your faucet, or you know, you need a door handle or whatever. Like you can also, instead of having to buy it, you can just print it. Yeah, I was just thinking like we really as a species need to kind of think more about you know, recyclable things. So like if you have stuff in your home that you're not using and it's 3D printed, it'd be cool if you could just kind of put it in some sort of a device that would you know, melt it back down, and then you can use it again to print something else. And so that way, you know, there's no, you know, you're not wasting a lot of, you're not filling landfills with just crap. And you're just repurposing it to whatever you need. All right. Oh, the pie menu. Yeah, I usually get that all the time. So the pie menu that I'm popping up, this thing right here, it's a Wacom menu. So it's just part of the Wacom driver, I guess. And you could use this both on the Cintiqs and the tablets. And basically what it is you just go in here and you click on plus, and you can create all these kinds of menus. So I've basically just created a radial menu. That's a ZBrush menu. And then here I basically have typed in a name, and each one of these is mapped to a keystroke. So this one is going to the keyboard, a keystroke, and I think it's 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So each one of these is basically mapped to a keystroke that I've created hotkeys for. And I've mapped that to, so I've got a 3D pen. And the difference between the 3D pen and the regular Wacom pen is that the regular Wacom pen has an eraser, which I never use, right? So it's kind of a useless button. But the 3D mouse has kind of taken that eraser from here and put it down here as a third button, which is really useful. And so I've mapped it to that button, and when I click on it, this menu pops up. And this has 8 of the most common brushes that I use all the time. And it just makes my life a lot faster. So basically my workflow is, you know, these are the 8 I use all the time, and then I have a bunch of brushes here that I use more frequently, and then I've got another menu that has a lot more brushes that I use. So I basically just kind of have a primary, secondary, and tertiary menu to get the brushes that I need. And I really like this pie menu because it just pops up wherever I am. I don't have to go somewhere and choose something. Like I stay very local to where I'm working. And it's these kinds of shortcuts that really kind of make your life, you know, make your workflow faster, so you don't really have to think about it. So, Big Shoe, hopefully that answers your question. Right, so I'm still kind of trying to get this shape to happen here. All right. Okay, so this is starting to look pretty much exactly the way I want it. I think this leg part is good. I've kind of created the transition pieces, and I'm comfortable with them. I probably will put some kit bash parts here, and I don't even know if this part is even going to show. I think the balloons will take over that part. So let's move down to... let's see if I can do some work on this big piece over here. I haven't touched that since I put it together. So this thing here, I think I did this in one of the earlier stages. Let's see what kind of polygrouping I've got. I've got some really nice polygrouping happening here. And what I want to do here is separate these pieces out so I can pull them apart and do some stuff with them. So I'm just going to do this. And go here and grow this out. Okay, so this is, I think, the most it will grow to. No, there is no inside, really. Let's see if it grows out. Oh, no, it is going to grow out more. So I'll just say grow all. Okay, so now I've got this piece, and then I'm going to split hidden. Where are you, split hidden? There it is, but why is it not? Giving me that option. Split hidden. Come on. Right. Is it here? Nope. Weird. All right. Well, I guess it's just not going to allow me to do it. All right. Well, how about now? No. So weird. Is it because I've got multiple subdivision levels? Yeah, I've got 2 subdivision levels. Maybe I need to be at level 1. Let's see if this works. Okay, and then grow all. And is it there now? Yep. All right, so that was the problem. I was on a higher subdivision level. So now I've split this piece out into its own piece. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to start putting these in a folder called hull. New folder right there. All right, and let me pop this in here too so that everything that I split out is going to be in its own thing. So I'm going to do this one next and grow all. And let's see, is there a hotkey for grow all? Control Shift A. Yep, Control Shift A. And then split hidden. All right, that's done. And then let's go to here again and pick this one right here. Control Shift A again. And split hidden again. Right, let's go back again to here. Got 2 more. This one. And last but not least, this little one up here. That's it, right? Yep. And split hidden. Ooh, I did not want to do that. Control Z. Split hidden. All right. That was close. All right, so now if I bring everybody back, so we have these, but they're different pieces, and now I can do other things with them. Now, a problem I have with this piece right here is that I don't have, do I have an inside part, or did I get rid of it? I probably got rid of it, so I probably have to go to an older version of this model and get it. Because, and the reason why I'm saying that is because now you can kind of see the gap here between these pieces is showing up a lot more. That's if I go up in subdivision level, and I hope they did keep the subdivision levels. So let me go up in subdivision levels on all these and see if it narrows that gap a lot more. It probably will. Yep. And then last but not least, this one. Yeah, so with the subdivisions, it narrows that gap more, but there's still like light could shine through here, so it would be cool if I had one inside. So with that, what I'm going to do, and it's going to be pretty interesting, is I'm going to go, I don't know, I think, which one was the last one? Was this the last one? Let's see, which one of these has the most undo levels? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just wondering if one of them has kept this one, right? So what I'm going to do here is duplicate this one and then go back up to it and just go scrub back in time until the whole thing is there. So there's the whole thing, and what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to Dynamesh it like this, and let's go to Geometry, Dynamesh, and let me solo it out. And this is going to be pretty interesting because it's going to connect it all together, I'm hoping. Right, let's go ahead and do it. Well, wait, before I do that, oh, okay, well, I was going to save beforehand, but it seems like it did it okay. And then go ahead and do a mirror and weld so it's symmetric. And then I'm just going to smooth out, turn off point frame here. So it's basically this model right here, and then I'm going to Dynamesh it again, smooth Dynamesh, and then I'm going to blur it more. And so basically all I'm doing right now is just creating a piece that will go inside here. So let's see what that looks like. So it's kind of big. So what I'm going to do here is deflate it. So go to, I have a menu for it. I'll just do it through that. And inflate inflates it out, but deflate deflates it. So it kind of will bring it inside. Right, and there it is. So now this is just inside the model so that light doesn't go through it if I'm rendering it. There's something inside, and plus I'm going to be kind of maybe shaping these a little bit, so it'll give me the ability to do that. All right, so far so good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a copy of this folder. And I don't know if you guys know, but the way to copy a folder is to use this plugin, which is super useful, called Subtool Master. Where are you? I actually have a big button of it down here somewhere, but when I'm presenting, I do this in 1080p, so usually it doesn't have I don't have my entire UI on here. All right, let me actually do a quick save just so we did a lot of work. Let's not lose any of it. Always good to save. Save early, save often. Switch to a new cup of tea. All right, let's see. All right, and then I think there's you have a question. Billy is saying, is mask extract and refine a good technique to use still or draw out panels? There's a lot of different ways to do panels, and I think I went through and did this in a previous episode. So if you go to, and I'm hoping they're doing this now. Oops, where'd that window go? I hope they're doing this now, but if you go to Pixelogic's ZBrush Live here, so basically this is the Pixelogic ZBrush, so it's pixelogic.com/ZBrush Live, and if you go to presenters, and I'm hoping that this is updated. Basically, you can scroll down here to see who the presenters are, and here I am. And if you scroll down here, I guess they haven't. So basically, it should just have all the episodes in order, and it doesn't. But you can always go to Pixelogic's YouTube channel, like I showed you before, here, and just type in my name, and then it will show up. So I think in one of the more previous episodes of this, I showed how to do the paneling, and I think I talked about that extensively. So you can kind of get a little bit of an idea of how to do that there. But yeah, there's different ways of doing paneling, and some of them are better than others, but it also depends on what you're doing. I think I just used panel loops for this one, and it worked out pretty well. All right, so here what I'm going to do is maybe create some areas where like some lights are going to come out. You see here in the AI, there's like this light popping off here, so that would probably be more in this area. So I'm going to go to the Move brush, and I'm going to choose an alpha, like maybe this one, and maybe turn off AccuCurve, make this a little bit bigger, and see if I can get a little area to kind of pop up here like this. Maybe that mask wasn't a very good idea. Let me go back to AccuCurve and do this with AccuCurve on. And basically all I'm doing here is just creating an area where this is going to open up. And then I'll put a light in there, and I can shine a light out of that area. You know, I'm going to make this asymmetric. Start to break symmetry a little bit. So here I've kind of got it on this side, so I'm going to kind of replicate that. And again, I'm just kind of going off of the idea that, you know, AI gave me. People are really worried that AI is going to take over their jobs, but I don't think that's the case. I think AI is here to stay, but I think it's also it's also not going to take anybody's job away. I think it, but if you don't use it, you're missing out because it really helps. All right. So I'm just basically creating some sort of an opening here where a light object will come in, and probably I'll put it in there next time. Next time I'm going to add some kit bash parts to this, kind of make it work better. So this is kind of cool now. It's kind of got an asymmetrical light over here, so that's all good. And then this is a hatch that opens up, so that's why I got the guy over there. He needs to fit through there. And then let's see, do I, can I do a couple of lights over here as well? Let's see. Let's see what we can do with this one. This one's still symmetrical, which is fine. And this transition here is kind of a little bit weird, so I'm going to see if I can make lemonade with it. Nope, that didn't work. I kind of want to keep this corner exactly where it is. What to do, what to do. How about raising it, the whole thing up? That might work. Yep, and I can have lights popping out through here as well. All right, I think that's doing okay. Maybe this goes all the way through. Again, I don't want to do too much kind of tweaking here because the topology and everything is pretty much good to go. So just minor touch-ups. All right. Oh man, the stupid thing is back. How'd they even get in? All right, let's see if I can get rid of them. What is their name? Block user on YouTube. Bam. All right. Let's quickly do reload here, and now they should be gone. Nope. What happened? Did all the messages go away? Oh man, that sucks. Oh well. Yeah, I usually get rid of these bots. I kind of figured out a way to do it. Last time I didn't have them come up, and now they've figured out. It's like a constant war. All right. What happened? Did we lose all messages? Settings. If somebody could type something in a message in chat, that would be awesome. So we can kind of maybe get some of the chat back. Anybody, anything? Oh, there's plenty of you watching. Come on, somebody say something, please. All right, so that's looking good. I think I'll put some parts kind of emanating out of here. These ones I'm going to keep as is. And these back parts look good. And then for this one right here, here we go. All right. Strawberry King, how's it going, man? Yeah, I know. You know, it's funny. Twitch has done a really good job to get rid of the bots, but I think YouTube still has some work to do. which is kind of weird because you'd think YouTube would have their act together more. But again, Twitch is more of the streaming pioneer, so YouTube's probably figuring out other things, but they need to do that because this is obnoxious. Like I kind of always want to hear about like a bust, like, you know, police bust operation that does crank phone calls or does these like insurance phone calls or car, you know, your car warranty is about to run out. Those guys that just basically interrupt your day and waste your time. Like it would be great if you could just get a police story that they just busted a big operation that does that. Even if it's not a big operation, even if it's some schmo in his, you know, wherever he is. Police arrest bot time wasters. All right, that's looking good. And I think I'm going to match it on this side. This thing mask, why isn't it moving? Come on. Yo, oh. I've got H polish on. Move brush and just match this same thing. All right. Yeah, let me just kind of check in the filter again to see if these mofos are back. Nope. Yeah, there's nobody. It's maybe one of these people, but I don't want to boot anybody because, you know, I don't want to punish somebody who is not doing this. Oh, what was that? All right, so that's basically kind of maybe the mechanism that opens up the hatch. So that basically adds a little bit more interest to this top part. And I think I'm just going to leave it at that, or maybe should I do one over here too? No, I think I like it the way it is. All right, so that top part has some more secondary details now, and then we'll populate it with tertiary details next time. Oh, this would be a good place to do it, right here. Some things popping out of there. No, let's just leave it be. I think that's fine. But maybe this part down here. Let's see if I can do something interesting with it over here. All right. Let's see. Any questions? No. Yeah, this new series that's on ZBrush Live is pretty good too, which is how it's made. And this is they find artists on ZBrush Central, and they basically have them explain how they did the works that they did. All right, so this is kind of good. Maybe it's got like a little piece that'll pop up over here. All right, so that's the paneling up there. I think for the most part, I'm pretty happy with this top part. I can call this done for primary and secondary shapes. I think we're doing really good with that. And yeah, I think we are ready to start. Oh, this area here I'll kind of figure out with some kit bash parts. So I did load a kit bash kit in here. But before I go into it, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick save. How are we doing on time? Oh, good. We got another half an hour to go. Yes. So let's see if some of these kit bash parts will work. All right. Subtool, nope, this guy right here. So this is a new kit that this guy whose kit bash kits I usually pick up, called Oleg Ushinok. I hope I'm saying that correctly. He makes these parts. So I'm trying to see if there's any one of these parts that will fit in to what I got going on. Usually these parts have kind of bad topology like this. But you know, they can give me ideas and I could use them. So I'm kind of seeing if any of this can kind of help with what I've got. No, but let me load some of the other ones in. So usually a good way I do this is there's usually like a contact sheet like this. And I just go through and like look at these parts and go like, oh, okay. I think, was this the one we were looking at? Yeah, this was the one we were looking at. But I'll try and see if there's any one here that I think that might work in what I'm using. Oh, there's some interesting ones here. This one is number 8. Let's go ahead and load that in. Now you'll notice right off the bat that there's going to be some issues with this. It's always good to save up your model before you start out with kit bash parts. I mean, some of these kit bash parts are well made, and then some of them are just basically made in some other program or CAD program or whatever, and then so they are going to come in, like you'll see already, like oh well, you know, I guess this one just came in. Sometimes they come in and they have all sorts of issues. All right, so let's see. Some of these parts look useful. All right, so let's keep that in here and then go back to the images. Let's see if there's other ones in this set that could work. And he just came out with this set this week. So, and usually I don't pick up everything he does, but some of the stuff he does is pretty good. Looks like there's some interesting parts here, some really cool pistons. These kinds of things are always super, super useful. Some of these could be useful. Let's see, this one is 11, and this one is 12. Could be some useful pieces in here as well. Oh, let me see. This one here looks interesting. All right, let's do this one. So let's load in 12 as well. Let me see, is there more? Yeah, there is 13. And 14. Yeah, there's like 405 parts in this thing. And it wasn't too expensive either. This one looks good. So we got 16. I think 13 was the other one I wanted. 12, 13, and 16. How many more are there? 17, no. Okay. So let's go ahead and load those in. I'm just going to append Polymesh 3Ds here. And import into them those ones. So import 12, and hopefully in one of these I'll be able to show you the thing I was talking to you about. So here's this one coming in. All right, and you can see, you know, this one, I think this is the piece I wanted right here. And then go to this one and import. I think 13 was the next one. And then last but not least, 16. So this one that I imported before, here we go. So first of all, it comes up with this and says, well, there are some ones that have quads and triangles, so it's basically complaining that the topology isn't full, but then I'll say okay. Sometimes it comes in with like floating points or whatever that it asks to fix. So always kind of be aware of whenever you're loading in kit bash parts to just make sure that, I'm going to turn occlusion on just because it makes it easier to kind of see the details on here. And yeah, so always make sure that when you're loading these in that you kind of are saving beforehand, and then be very careful with them. If you can zero mesh them, or if you can kind of modify the topology, I always recommend doing that first. All right, I think there was one here that I thought would be interesting. This one right here. All right, so I'm just going to isolate that, and then I basically have a little script that I wrote called kit bash duplicate. And what that will do is it will just isolate it for me and copy it. And so then I can just go back to my Mech, which is, where are you? It's over here. And just paste it. And it's just probably going to come in at some weird size. So then I just want to go ahead and unify it. There it is. And then just rotate it, and I think I wanted to use it kind of like this as the light that's popping up over here. Turn transparency on so I can see it, and I think I just want to use that as kind of the light that's over here. Oops. All right, so one thing I like to do with these things is well, I think this looks pretty good. And I think this is one that basically would be zero meshed pretty well. So, but right now it doesn't really matter because it's just going to be a little light that's going to be over in this area like that. Let's see what happens if I turn it upside down like this. All right, so that's just going to show a little bit this way. Let me turn ghost mode off, or actually transparency off completely, just because I don't want it to protrude through here. So right now it's not. This looks good. Maybe rotate it a bit like this. Now I'm going to see if I can get rid of this top part. Sometimes they're connected, sometimes they're not. So let me see if I can. So delete island, that, yep, it is not connected, which is good. I don't want this, oh, no, well, I don't want this guy right here, so I can get rid of it. And I think there was another one. Yep. These are cool parts. I could probably use them for something else, but right now I don't need to. And let's see what that left me with. All right, oops. Yeah, I probably don't need this border piece either. And this is kind of the same part, just bigger. Let's see if I delete this. Yeah, good. That one I don't need either. These ones are kind of interesting, but I don't know if I need them. Let's go back and see what is showing up through there. What if I just do this to it? So right now I'm kind of losing a lot of what's in there, and it's really not kind of doing what I want it to do. All right. Kind of want it to be like this, and this way. I think I'm getting there. All right, I think maybe like that. All right, so that'll be the light, and I'll probably add some luminous object to it. Now, there's a lot of, there's a gap over there that I probably need to fill in with something, but I'll figure that out later. All right. Okay, so that's that. Yeah, so it's kind of a little bit of a... I'm just about ready to abort this whole part because it's just not doing what I want it to do. I'm just trying to see if I put it out like this way, maybe it'll help. But I'm very close to... Oh, actually, that's not too bad. That works. Okay. Man, talk about like this thing almost being gone, and now it's okay. All right, so that's one part. Let's go back to our kit bash parts here. And I don't need this one. More. Delete it. And delete this one. Let's go back to these parts. And notice that these are kind of arranged this way, so if I load them all in, they'd be arranged all around. And I don't think I need any more from this set over here, so I'm going to delete it for now, and then let's move on to this one. What did I want to use from here? I don't know. I kind of like this piece, but I don't know where I could use it. I also like this piece right here, but I also don't know where I could use it. So let me move on to the next one. Yep, this is the thing that I really liked. So again, kit bash duplicate. That copies it, and then I'll just go back into here. And paste it. Right, so again, I don't really know what the scale of this thing is, so it's always good to unify. And that just kind of puts it over there, and then I can just resize it. So that's kind of a really neat piece that I could use kind of as some sort of an attachment piece. And I was talking about that earlier, where I would need pieces like this. And again, this thing doesn't have to be this big. And also, it might be a good idea for me to see if this can be, like I don't really need, yeah, the spring thing is kind of cool. I guess it is cool. I could probably ZBrush this and get some good results from it, but I think I'm just going to use it as is. But before I make that commitment, I'm just going to do a quick check mesh, and that's fine. So apparently it's okay, and so I'm just going to use it as is. And sometimes I make insert mesh brushes with these things, and sometimes I just use them kind of like this. So let me turn transparency on. Like that would be a cool part to just kind of have be here, just to make that transition between these parts. Oops, turn transparency off. Right, so it kind of would work over here. Like so, and help with this transition. Butters, absolutely, man. You can watch the VODs. They're stored there forever, and they're available right after I'm done. Like so, the minute I'm done at 9 p.m., they'll be on YouTube and Twitch, and they'll be there forever and ever and ever. Okay, so I like this, but what I'm going to do is I want it to be longer, right? So I'm going to use this really cool deformer in ZBrush called Extender. And so Extender just does this, like that. And that's kind of what I want for this piece. And there it is. Oh, I think my cat wants to visit. So hopefully, maybe she'll come over to the table here. To my desk, and you guys can see her. Sometimes she is oblivious to all this, and sometimes she just kind of wants to be part of it. Right, that kind of looks cool. I'm kind of trying to figure out what a good place for this would be. Kind of a cool piece, and I just want to figure out a way to incorporate it into my design. Maybe something like this. I kind of like that gap more because you can kind of see something through it. It adds a bit of visual interest. I think this is kind of a good place to put it right here. There we go. Push it in to about there. Oh, god damn it, they're back. Block user on YouTube. Let me see if this is on here. Naked HD. Of course, this is not alphabetical, so it's not showing up. Nope, I can't see it in my list of users, so, but I can do this. I just add them to my block list. I think that'll make it work. Okay, so now that I've got this here, I'm just going to mirror and weld it to the other side, and there we go. Right, so this kind of created this interesting piece. I think I could even move it back a little bit further over here, and that kind of created a good transition for me from. Oops, let me turn this to local symmetry. No, come on, what's going on? Oh, I don't have symmetry on. How about that? Okay, so now I've got symmetry on. I'm just going to move this over like this. And yeah, so that basically created an interesting kind of transition over here. So that's cool. Let's go ahead and see if we can use some more parts from this. All right, so that I don't need that big part anymore. Delete that. Let's use some of these guys right here. I really like these kind of pieces. I think they could be cool additions. But I also like these grills. So, and I also like this piece right here. Let's see if I can repurpose this piece somehow. So I'm just going to select it. Okay, duplicate. There it is. Go back to the Mech. And paste. Unify. And I probably will create a macro that does this paste and unify in one action too. So it's just one less thing for me to do. And let's see where that can go. I think that's a good place for it right there. Nope, but I just found a better place for it, which is right over here and right there. All right, I think that's going to work. Yep, how perfect is that? It's almost like it's completely made for that piece. All right, that does a really good job of kind of filling in that area. So that's there. All right, let's go find some other pieces we can use. Don't need this one anymore. This one looks interesting. Let's see if I can use this one somewhere. Git bash duplicate. Back to the Mech. Paste. Unify. I don't know if you guys can hear her, but I've got this neighbor who's got this kid that has the shrillest sound. Just super, super shrill. I think she can break glass with her voice. She's like the Castafiore. I wonder if this kind of, I don't know why I'm sticking to this one area down below here, but this kind of looks neat. I don't know what the function of it is, but it definitely has a neat look to it. But maybe I can move it back to here. It kind of looks cool. Now the trick with kit bash parts is that they all have their own design language, so you kind of have to be very mindful of how, whether or not it would work with your design, right? So you just have to make sure that the design that you're using it with works with what you have going on. I think this one does work, right? So that's kind of that bottom part here. And it looks like I've got this pretty much ironed out. The top part I just want to leave as simple as possible because I might put some, tertiary details on there, but I don't want to put anything in there. It looks like this area over here could use something, so let's see if we can find something for it. So delete this one, go back to these parts. I kind of like this one. I probably can find a place for it. But I think I was on this one. Let's see if there's anything else in here I can use. Seen any good sci-fi stuff lately? Not really. No, nothing, no good shows that I'm kind of very excited about. But there's some good stuff coming out. I think there's the Lord of the Rings thing coming out. That should be fun. And what else? There's some good things kind of on the way. I think the pandemic just left things a little bit on hold. So here's a part that basically has a lot of design language on it. That might not work, but if this is really small, then it might really kind of be a neat piece to have. So let's use that. Go in here, paste. Unify, there it is, and maybe that's what we could use in that one area I was talking about earlier on the bottom. Yeah, so when I use kit bash parts, like I don't use them to be a major part of what I'm working on because I think that's kind of, you're basically using somebody else's model, but I like to use it for details. Like I think it works really well down here as a small little detail. Right? So it's not really kind of the major piece, but it is a little detail that kind of could work and fill an area where you need it to. So I think it works right there. It works perfectly. Yeah, look at that. All right, so now, this is kind of starting to become more defined. I'm getting more kind of parts that look good. I think these could be lights. Let me see what this thing looks like. From a geometry perspective, it looks good. I think this would be a good place to add some lights, so I will do that. But let me also make sure that this thing is okay by doing a check on it, check mesh. Oh, here you go. See, it's got a problem. Contains one edge that's shared by more than 2 polygons, so this could make ZBrush crash. So I'm going to fix that now so it's not an issue. But yeah, that's the problem with these kit bash parts is they have all sorts of problems from a geometry perspective. So it's always good to do your homework and check it as much as you can before you get going, right? So I basically created a nice little detail over here that kind of add some visual interest in this area. I'm still looking for something to put over here, so let's see if I can find something for that. I think we're at time, but I'm going to go a little bit further just because I'm having a good time with this part. And I'll go until I get really super tired. It's been a long week. This is a good ending to it. All right, so I don't need this part anymore, but let's see if I can find a part to put in there. That's kind of one of my biggest concerns. I think maybe this one would be an interesting one. Let's see if it works. There it is. Go back to the Mac. Next week, I'll probably, before I get on, and hopefully I'll have time to do it, I'll do a little bit of cleanup. So that I don't have so many subtools. Right, let's see if this will do anything in that area. Strawberry King, have you seen any interesting Philip K. Electric Dreams? Yeah, I've seen that. It's pretty good. It's been out for a while. Unless they have a new season that I don't know about. But yeah, I watched that a while back. That was good. Philip K. Dick is a legend. I wonder if they'll ever make Do Robots Dream of Electric Sheep as a movie of its own. Like if they actually use that exact story instead of morphing it into Blade Runner. That might be an interesting exercise. I mean, it'll probably have a lot of the same elements, but it's a pretty good story on its own. You know what's weird is there are some movies that were announced that have never come to fruition. I thought Brave New World was pretty weak. I don't think it really had the same impact the book has, and they changed it around quite a bit. But yeah, no new amazing sci-fi stuff. My cat disagrees. All right, this kind of looks interesting over here. I think that'll do. It's better than the gap that was there, so we'll leave that there for now, unless I can find something better. All right, so I guess I will stop this here. Let's see, now I can go a little bit longer. Let me see if I can find a better piece to put in that one area. Definitely not something that's over here in this set. How about this one? No. And how about this one? If I don't find something, I'm just gonna, oh, could this go there? No. I mean, these could go there, but I think they've got too many kind of float. Oh, maybe one of these guys. No. Whatever happened to those ones with the little curvy things? Did I accidentally delete them? I probably did. That's fine. Unless they're somewhere out here. Or did I hide them? Let me go to this group. I think that's where I pulled that first piece from. I'm not too happy with it. Oh, yeah, this one right here with the spring looks like it could be okay. Let's go for that one. But the thing with that is it's kind of protruding this other piece. So let me see if I can do this. I'm going to try this one. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then I will end the stream here. It's got like weird parts that I probably won't need. No, I don't think this is going to work. Sorry. Wrong choice. What about... This is the one I used. It didn't really work out too well. And these other ones look like they're engine parts, so I don't think they're going to work either. All right, I think I'm just going to call it night. Sometimes if things aren't working, it's not good to just keep harping on them. So I'll just bring this back, and this is kind of where we are at today. So next week, we'll probably get into doing more tertiary part work, adding more of these kit bash parts. But I think we're going to be done with modeling here, either next time or the one after. And then we'll get into doing some painting, and then I want to render this thing in with Redshift. So that's going to be the adventure I'm going to try with this model. So hopefully we can do that in the next few weeks. But tune in again. Yeah, it is coming together, isn't it? This is the point where I really like my model, because I can kind of start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. So yeah, I think we're gonna probably kind of have maybe another 4 or 5, maybe even 6 episodes until this one is done, and then we'll move on to the next one. All right, so have a good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you again in a couple of weeks. I'm on every other Friday. Happy ZBrushing, and a good night to all, or a good day, or whatever time.